Many of us are always asking ourselves, how do I change my life? How do I grow? How do I become the best version of myself? Well, Mary from Fat Fudge has done just that. She is on that journey. She's changed her health. She's changed her life. And by accident, she came up with a brand that is killing it. And that is exciting.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
So glad you are here. You're gonna show us, take us behind the tonic bar and do a fat beet latte.
Fat beet latte. With
Wow.
beets.
You're gonna make this.
Yeah.
I love this. Let's go. This is the way we roll. Rapid fire, and we still keep it going. So you have this fat fudge beet crazy latte with herbs. What are we building here?
So the base is, of course, fat fudge, vegan fat fudge.
Vegan
and
fat
what's
fudge.
in there's already a lot of goodness and power in here. So the base is tahini, and then you got coconut butter, coconut oil, turmeric, cacao, cayenne, maca, all the good stuff. And I want to elevate some of the energy and the power here through lesser known energy fuel sources. So we've got the fermented beet powder. And then I'm really into adaptogen mushrooms. We got cordyceps, which is also for power and strength, and lion's mane.
Yeah,
This,
brain, cognition.
this. And then you just add other things that you like. So I add coconut creamer and almond milk. And notice I didn't say any sweetener.
No sweetener.
I'm very much about having a very pure palate.
I'm excited.
You should be excited.
I want to taste this. I've never had the beet inside of this. And no sugar.
I'm gonna change your world.
Let's go. Now I'm ready.
I'm on the move.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go sit down. I want to talk.
Let's do it. After you.
No, after you.
After you. Cozy.
Very cozy. Tonic bar in the background. Life is good.
Life is great.
Mary, thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. Seriously, having you here is it's always a gift for Erewhon to have vendors and creators and CEOs that have a true vision and they stick to it.
Yeah.
And I just want to know where that all started. So, is it fair to say that 5 years ago, life wasn't really going to plan? You kind of had, you're in this, tech sector. You had these health issues. Can you give us a glimpse into, like, what was happening and like how that change happened?
Yeah. So 5 years ago was when I got my celiac diagnosis. But the pain started in second grade. So the hives, the migraines, the hormone issues. But it starts at such a young age and no one can tell you what's wrong with you. So you start to accept that that's your normal.
Yeah.
So from second grade to 25, I thought being in pain every day was normal.
Yeah.
But it started to increase in my
Wow.
20s. To that would become unbearable. I was always in and out of the ER, vomiting until the point where I'd black out, constantly in pain, being pumped with a bunch of drugs that weren't actually helping the underlying issue. So I had this final moment in the ER where they're coming at me more with morphine, and I feel so betrayed because they're not telling me what's causing it.
Yeah.
That I started doing my own research, found a TED talk by Dr. Terry Walls about the mitochondria. Light bulb went off. I'm so type A everywhere else, but not with my own health. So as I went down that rabbit hole, I sent out my own lab work, got a celiac diagnosis, got a celiac diagnosis on top of dairy and soy, and so just started to remove those ingredients. I was super pumped when I got those results because to me, remove those, I'll feel better. And within a few months, all those symptoms went away. But at that same time, the word paleo was becoming popular, and it was so much easier to say I'm eating a paleo diet than like, I don't eat gluten, casein, and soy. And so that was happening while I was in corporate America. And without having had that clarity and that lack of pain, I never would have made the choices to get to where I am now.
Tell me about that. I mean, you're living in San Francisco, very competitive tech industry, private chef hustle on the side, doing the paleo thing. Tell me about the first couple clients you had and how you ultimately, moved to LA. I mean, what were you thinking, moving to LA?
I wasn't thinking.
That's good. So tell me.
I was feeling. So my first client came about, I've always done corporate coaching in some capacity. And I was sitting with a colleague going over numbers, doing the corporate stuff, and he said, let's take a time out from this. What are you doing different with your health? Because you're so much more present, I can tell you're not in pain. I'm like, oh, I just stopped eating these ingredients, and this is what happened, this is what happens inside the body as a result of that. And it sounded very cumbersome to him. And he's like, I don't have time for this. How about you just cook for me? And I very cockily was like, I don't cook for people. I manage multi-million-dollar contracts. And he's like, well, chefs make this much money on the side. And I was like, invisible beard.
Yeah, side hustle, me, Mary.
Because in San Francisco, you can make good money and still be house poor. So I thought, good, side money. So that was my first client, and a couple weeks later, I was getting my wisdom teeth removed, and the way that they were impacted, I had to get put under for that. And when I came to, the oral surgeon was like, I'm so excited, you're gonna be my private chef. So my subconscious decided I was going to be a private chef, and those are my first 2 clients. So I had those as a side gig with my regular corporate job.
Yes.
And I did that for a few months. And started to acquire more clients. And so I had a list of 6 to 7 clients, and I was making 120 meals at a time, which I learned later, chefs are only supposed to do 30. So my body shut down because I was so tired from managing my corporate job and this. So I had to choose. And so I took a day off from work to play hooky and think about my life. And I went to the Ferry Building with a friend, and I'm in my head like, what do I do? What are the risks? I saw a man walking towards the door, and being a gentleman, I opened the door for him. And he was taken aback by that gesture, and he said thank you, and I was taken aback that he even noticed and thanked me. I'm like, you're welcome. And I was so in the interaction that I didn't really pay attention to who the person was. And he walks away, and my friend looks at me and she smacks me. She goes, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what's going on? She's like, are you that stubborn? Are you that obtuse? Like, you took the day off from work to think about if you want to be a private chef full time, and you opened a door for Tyler Florence. Like, that's the door of opportunity. And I was like, oh, well, that's the sign.
That's the sign.
And I quit the next day.
Talk about discoveries, and you're hustling. You're here in LA. You know, and I love when accidents happen. You were making halva.
Yeah.
And you failed.
I was multitasking. I wasn't failed. I was multitasking.
And something happened. What happened?
So I first moved to LA. There is no Fat Fudge. I'm just a private chef to these athletes. And I used to be a Goop user, a super gel user, and when I was still in San Francisco, I was consulting with the Oracle sailing team, and they needed a replacement to Goo, and I'd come up with a substitution that I wasn't jazzed about. So in my head, I was like, you need to figure out a good substitution to Goo, because I gave them something that was good enough. And then for my clients down here that were athletes, I was making these tahini bombs with fat. So it was, the base was just tahini, collagen, and butter, and that was their just fuel source for performance. Separate from that, I had made a recipe called Unicorn Fuel that has cayenne, cacao, maca, turmeric, etc., and that was called Unicorn Fuel. And so my readers, that went viral, was voted best coffee hack of 2014, like right after Bulletproof. So there's this over here in a canister on my counter. And then I know in my head I want to do something that's a Goo packet. Halava, or halawa in Arabic, is a Middle Eastern dessert, and it's very temperature fickle, and if you don't get the temperature right, it won't crystallize. And so I was multitasking.
Give it that fluffiness.
Yes, and so I was multitasking in the kitchen, and turned around and saw, like, I missed my opportunity for halawa. I'll just make fudge. So I dumped in all the Unicorn Fuel recipe in there, and then it has a lot of honey naturally. And the next morning I take a bite into it, and all those dots connected, and I'm like, I've discovered it!
You're like, this is it.
So I messed with the amounts to make it more functional, and that's how Fat Fudge was created.
So, okay, so Fat Fudge happened.
Post the recipe.
You know, post the recipe.
Recipe goes viral.
People go crazy. You start building this amazing community of people. What does that community of people mean to you now?
So I say this a lot, the uncertainty in life is the most generous source of opportunity. So when I left corporate America, I posted on my Instagram, I'm leaving my corporate life, follow along as become a private chef. And my motto is eat clean, play off, and crush life. Eat, play, crush. And I never really focused on paleo, I focused on paleo and individuality, and I wanted it all to be inclusive. And there were people that were tattooing eat, play, crush on their arms after these really great breakthroughs in their lives, and I was trying to understand what is what I do mean to you. And the feedback that I get is that you're so inclusive and you encourage us to be our own version of awesome. And because I was bullied in grade school, I was always the odd woman out, I was 10 years younger than all my colleagues in corporate America. My community is a reminder to me to be yourself. So I'm telling them be yourself, and then I have my days of doubt. When I feel like I'm faltering, somebody will do a post or post a recipe and talk about, because like I have paleo, vegans, vegetarians, I always call it cross-diet unity. For me, it's like cross-faith unity. And so when I see one of those posts go up, they remind me to keep being myself, to keep progressing forward in my journey.
And that's why this community is so amazing. And I'm just gonna have to say it. She came to me first.
I did.
She came to me first. It was like, hey. I was like,
when I was hand packing it.
And I was blown away, and you know, I had to have it. We threw it up in Venice, And I'm just so happy you brought that to us, because that's, again, what makes this unique. And there's everything is unique about you, and I love that. Thank you, for coming to see me and for giving us this gift, because it is a gift, and you are true. And I'm just, you know, I'm here for you.
This makes me shy.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Mary has found a way to serve others that are unique, purely for her tribe, for her people. Paley, you. That is awesome. Ever since she handed me that Fat Fudge pouch that was hand-packed, I knew she was onto something. She has a standard that everyone loves, and that is truly inspirational.